It's Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is March 18th. For those of you who are still on March 18th, some of you guys are probably already on Saturday, March 19th, depending on what part of the world you are in. This is a super late show here today because AEW Rampage was preempted following the NCAA tournament. So the game ended a little bit late, and so AEW Rampage started even later than that. So bless you to anybody who is even on this stream. I was like, okay, I don't even know who's going to come on today's show because it's super late, everybody. It's super late. But either way, this is probably going to be a quick stream. I don't want to keep people up too late. We're going to talk about the best of SmackDown, the best of AEW Rampage, and that's going to be about it here today. So let's go ahead and hop right into it, everybody. Let's get right into AEW Rampage, and then we'll close things out with SmackDown. So let's go ahead and get this going, everybody. We kicked off the show. Well, first of all, I'm going to give my overall thoughts on Rampage today. This was not my favorite edition of Rampage, and I'm just going to be brutally and completely honest. Today's episode of Rampage felt like we know we're being preempted, so here is a version of Rampage because we know that we're being preempted and maybe not going to get the same amount of viewers. And you could tell watching the show because while we did have like a couple of some solid okay matches, there wasn't anything on this card that I can definitely say, oh my God, it freaking rocked or anything like that. So this felt like a show that knew that it was going to be preempted for the most part. So it was okay. But we got people here. Jesus, some of you guys are awesome. Sean Williams says it's 4:53 a.m. Denise, stayed up for you. Doppelganger says 2:30 a.m. here. Why am I up? Why are you up? If I wasn't hosting this show right now, I'd be in bed. My excuse is I gotta work. But let me tell you this though. I'm pretty proud though because I watched SmackDown and then we had like maybe an hour-ish, a little bit in between, like an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes or so until Rampage started. And during that time, I was able to like shoot and edit an entire 7+ minute video. So I am very proud because now I can take the morning off tomorrow. But anyways, we kick things off on AEW Rampage today with Darby Allen versus The Butcher. This was an okay, this was probably surprisingly my favorite match of today. And even though it was a little bit, there were some moments that I think were not so perfect. I did like the story of this match, and the story here was literally the Butcher getting this moment to actually be highlighted on the show. You know, there's so many guys on the AEW roster that don't really always get the opportunity to be highlighted. And so the Butcher got his today on Rampage. So his whole thing was he was showing aggression, showing power, and literally dominated Darby throughout most of this match here. And I personally enjoyed that because I'm a fan of the Butcher and the Blade. So I liked how this essentially got a lot of things that I liked. So first of all, I'm going to start things off with the things I didn't like. And the one thing that I didn't like was there was this dive from Darby to the outside, and the Butcher was not in position, like the proper position to catch Darby. And Darby literally ran like right into the barricade. So that was not a very easy spot to watch. But aside from that, I loved, Darby going for the coffin drop, but the Butcher essentially catching him and giving him a knee straight to the back. That was good. I loved him dominating him on the outside, stomping his face, clotheslining Darby. There was a moment on the opposite side of the ring where the Butcher was just slinging Darby's body from the barricade to the steel steps, so like really brutalizing Darby, which I was a fan of. We finally saw things turn around for Darby when he hit the code red, and then after this he went for the coffin drop, hit the coffin drop, and this ended up basically having when he hit the coffin drop, the Butcher was on the outside of the ring, so the Butcher ended up getting counted out here. Now, I feel like we don't rarely get a lot of, it's rare when we get countouts on AEW, so for me, for that reason, I liked it. I liked the countouts. I liked it because I thought it really got over Darby's coffin drop, considering that he went through all of that hell, all of that beatdown from the Butcher to hit his coffin drop, hits the coffin drop, and that's it. The Butcher can't get back up from that. He's done. So personally, I liked that it put over the coffin drop with that ending and the count out. So I was a fan of this. Let's see what else we got after this. Immediately afterwards, we got the AFO coming out, and this led to the Blade coming out too, and Private Party, and all of them attacking Sting and Darby from behind. And then, of course, as we all know, they've been friends with Sting, with Matt and Jeff Hardy. So we finally get Matt and Jeff. They come out, they basically, help even out the odds. And we have Matt that challenges the AFO to an 8-man Texas Tornado match on Dynamite. So we're going to be seeing the Butcher and the Blade and Private Party against Sting, Darby, Jeff, and Matt. So that should be a really fun matchup for Dynamite. So yeah, that was good. That was probably my favorite part of today's show. We got a super chat here from Reggie Simmons. Thank you so much to Reggie, who says, wish I could give you $1 million. Thank you for being a trooper. Dude, you give so much love on here. Like, seriously, you give more than enough. But thank you so much to Reggie Simmons for always spreading a lot of positivity here today on this show. Holy Jesus, Faustinos Vargas. Oh my God. I was not expecting this tonight at all. Faustino, thank you so much for this massive super chat. Like, you literally caught me off guard. But thank you so much for that. Please, if you can, please tweet me, because I please send me your Twitter DM so I can contact you and personally thank you for this explosive super chat. Thank you so much to Faustino for that. Oh my God. I honestly thought there was going to be 10 people on the stream. Nobody was going to be watching at this hour. I was like, I'm going to get in, do the show, hop out, end the day. And then we got some really awesome people on here. So I really appreciate you guys here. Let's see what we got here, guys. This one is from the Polished Gent, who says, in regards to that dive that we were talking about, says, scary dive, but at least Darby really lays his shit in. No one can say his moves look fake. I love Darby. Really wish that the Butcher was properly getting him there, because that could have been not good for Darby to go straight into that barricade. And just everything that we've been seeing as of late, I don't even want to think about it. Sam Pai Boone sends in a super chat saying, did you know about WWE signing Cody Rhodes? So yes, so this story broke a couple of hours ago. There's a new report from PW Insider, and I might as well bring this up right now since Sam Pai Boone just brought it up. Let me pull this up. Here we go. So PW Insider reported today that Cody Rhodes has officially signed with WWE, saying that multiple sources confirmed with the site that Rhodes had signed about 10 to 14 days ago. So a lot of us were expecting to see Cody Rhodes at that Raw that took place in Jacksonville, Florida. And I remember thinking, I remember reading Dave basically putting whether or not, we see Cody in Jacksonville, Florida, that's going to be, at least some sort of maybe possibly an indication of where they might be with contract stuff and all of that. And I personally wasn't expecting to see Cody Rhodes at that Jacksonville, Florida episode of Raw, but a lot of people were, and a lot of people tuned in thinking that it was going to happen, and it didn't happen. And I think part of me was thinking, you know what? Man, maybe things change. Maybe Cody isn't signing with WWE. And I know everybody was pointing that direction. The one thing that really kept me thinking, yeah, Cody's definitely signed with WWE, it was just the fact that Seth Rollins still did not have a WrestleMania opponent. The fact that he still didn't have a WrestleMania opponent, I kept thinking, well, why else would they essentially wait for, to if Cody was completely out of the picture, they would have come up with something last on Raw this Monday for Seth Rollins. Like they would have come up with something, like even if it was super last minute. So that was the one thing that kind of kept me thinking, you know what, maybe Cody definitely is coming into WWE. So apparently, according to this PW Insider report, he signed 10 to 14 days ago. That's nearly 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago, we still didn't know what the hell was going on. We did have that one report from Justin Barraza from Sports Illustrated, who also reported that he was for sure going into WWE, that he was already filming stuff and all of this. So this is now just another confirmation on top of that. Additionally, PW Insider did report that Cody Rhodes is let me read this verbatim, actually, so I don't mess this up. Says, additionally, PW Insider said that the plan is to have Rhodes debut at WrestleMania weekend and join the Raw roster upon arrival. So this says WrestleMania weekend. I mean, this could happen. Jesus, this could happen the Monday before Mania. This can happen at WrestleMania, night 1, night 2. I would prefer it to be at WrestleMania personally, or it can happen at the Raw after Mania. We know that the Raw after Mania always has those surprises. We see people get called up, but we can also see these people debut. So whether or not we see, well, also on top of that, I think it does have to be at WrestleMania, because I almost forgot to mention, this has been something that Dave has reported a bunch and has been saying this, that the person that's supposed to be wrestling Seth Rollins at WrestleMania is Cody Rhodes. So we definitely have to see him at WrestleMania if that's the plan. If Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins is the plan for WrestleMania, then it's obviously got to happen at WrestleMania. So I don't know if it's going to happen the day of, like the day of the match, or like the day of the show, at the show. I don't know. Or if it's going to happen before. Again, this was just the weekend of WrestleMania, and he's going to be joining the Raw roster, which, first of all, another thing to talk about really quickly is that the Raw roster is very loaded. And so in one way, you're like, yeah, Cody should be on the Raw roster because there's a lot more opportunity there. But at the same time, it's like, damn, there ain't nothing going on SmackDown, and they need way more people over there. So I do think he was more so needed on SmackDown, but if he's going into this program with Seth Rollins, then obviously it makes sense for this to happen on Raw. So that's pretty much where we're at in regards to that. Thank you so much to Sam Pi Boone for sending in this super chat and getting me going about Cody here. Alrighty, so let me go back to Rampage here. Alrighty, so after we got Darby and the Butcher, we got a Paige Van Zandt promo, by the way. And this was actually a pretty good promo. I'm very excited to see what Paige is going to bring to the AEW women's roster. I think that, the program that she has with Ty Conti, we talked about this when this whole thing first emanated between them, that given both of their athletic backgrounds, it really makes sense for Paige Van Zandt to be in this, story with Ty Conti. That feels like the perfect fit for her. But Paige Van Zandt basically says, she's better than any woman. She can fight better than anyone. And, she prints more money than the Federal Reserve. So that should be a pretty good, it was good. It was perfectly fine, guys. I don't think there's anything else to comment on. We got Red Velvet versus Leyla Hirsch. This was a nice, solid match between both of these girls. One of the things that I said last week when they first announced this match is that Red Velvet and Leyla Hirsch have been pretty interesting. And by interesting, I mean they necessarily haven't gotten like these big pushes. Like they're not getting the Jade Cargill treatment. They're not getting that treatment, right? They're not on the Thunder Rosa or Britt Baker level. We've established that, right? But you still need to build depth in your women's roster, and you need to tell more stories and get more people, building them up, tell more stories, because eventually down the road, those are the people that are going to be your challengers for the AEW Women's World Championship, right? So Red Velvet, she, the first time we really got to see her, or rather like some of the stuff that she was doing with Cody Rhodes and Shaq and Jade Cargill and all of that, that whole program was essentially designed to get Jade Cargill over. And they did. They got Jade Cargill over. And now, she's reaping the reward. She's on this 30, winning. She's about to be on her 30. She's 29-0, but she's going for her 30th victory, right? Well, Red Velvet, to me, I remember watching her matches, during this period and thinking to myself, like, I know the focus is Jade Cargill and I know she's the one that, this whole story is about. But Red Velvet really came into this picture and she just showed a lot of spunk, a lot of energy. She came out like a firecracker. And there was something about her that for me, drew me more to Red Velvet at that point in time than even more so Jade Cargill. And I remember saying that on the podcast, on the post show. And so after that, I thought, you know what? Like, she should be rewarded. And, she was, she signed and all of that good stuff. So good for her. But since then, every time she's been put in a match or anything where she's not supposed to be the focal point, she has made herself enough of an interest. So I really think that she deserves a lot of like kudos for that. In terms of Leyla Hirsch, she's along the same lines in terms of when she comes out and she wrestles, she gives you something that you want more. You always want to see more out of Leyla Hirsch. For some reason, she always leaves you wanting more, and that has kind of stuck. The only thing that right now that I was thinking about, because prior to the Leyla Hirsch match, we did get that Paige Van Zant promo. So I wonder if maybe they're going to do a little tweaking, or if they should do a little tweaking with the Leyla Hirsch character. Because when you have Paige Van Zant in there, who's at another, who can do this like MMA stuff and all of this, like she just brings so much credibility that it does kind of make Layla's character, like her shooter style, I feel like she has to probably tweak that character a little bit now with the incorporation of Paige Van Zant. So I wonder if that's going to be a thing or not. We'll see. But anyways, I liked how they got this match started. We've been seeing Leyla Hirsch bring in this like more attitude. Obviously, they've been doing this whole story with Red Velvet and Chris Statlander. So this match got started even before the bell rang. Leyla went right at Red Velvet as she was making her entrance, attacks her on the ramp, and literally suplexes her on the ramp before the match even starts. But once the match gets going, it's a pretty solid match. We see Leyla bust out her suplexes, looking really good. We see Leyla work the shoulder of Red Velvet for a bit. Red Velvet breaks up the submission by getting her foot on the rope. Liked all of that. We do see the incorporation of Chris Statlander here, which essentially allows Red Velvet to get the win here. So one of the things we also need to talk about is Chris Statlander. So on Dynamite, we saw the video package of Chris where she was taking off the makeup, and we're like, okay, she's going to be going for this new look and this character change, which a lot of people, including myself, kind of agree with, because I think her previous persona was kind of holding her back. And now I think based on what we saw tonight, she was wearing the all black. She still had, the makeup a little bit different, but they really put over like her demeanor. Commentary made sure to put over the fact that she was very like a little bit more serious. So they're already definitely teasing that and teasing the changes in Chris Statlander, which I like. So, we'll see where they go from here, but I'm loving that Chris Statlander and Red Velvet always have each other's back, and they kind of keep stopping Leyla Hirsch from like breaking the rules and doing things her way. So I love this because they're giving more depth to the women's division by giving these girls a story here. So I'm a fan of this. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and see what we got here. If we got any comments in regards to this here. But I think for the most part, people are ready to go ahead and move on. Like I said, guys, this was a Rampage episode that wasn't like the hottest episode of Rampage. It was all right. All right. So after this, we do get a promo from QT Marshall, and he basically says that he is going to be providing Hook with a certificate of completion. So he is going to be presented with that, and that should be fun. I'm sure Hook is just going to like rip up the certificate and beat the living shit out of QT Marshall. That is exactly what I am getting. Also, I do want to point this out. This one's from King of Hueco Mundo, who says that Jericho is trolling bad. He is. Throughout commentary, he was just like trolling and putting over like the whole like sports entertainment stuff. There were some lines in there. I think it was during this match. Yeah, it was during this match. There was a moment where they were arguing about like the technical term of a submission versus the sports entertainment term of that same submission. And they were like arguing about that. And so they were incorporating the sports entertainment sports entertainer thing that we were just presented with this week on Dynamite on commentary as well. So let's go ahead and continue on here. Alrighty, so after this, we got the House of Black versus Bear Country and Fuego del Sol. This was a squash match, guys. This was a squash. We had a fun finish, but for the most part, it was a squash, and this is what it needed to be, though. With House of Black, they need to go in there, especially when you're going up against Bear Country and Fuego. Like, they're not really, like, top guys on the roster, so you want to go in there and essentially see them get killed. Well, they did. Jesus, there was one more thing that I wanted to say about that, and I thought I wrote it. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is what I did want to read. I just had it in the wrong section. All right, yeah, in regards to the finish here, with Murphy hitting the tornado high angle slam, that was freaking phenomenal. I loved the finish. The finish was fun, and it was a nice little exclamation point to this squash. But other than that, we got two more things to talk about, and then we'll go ahead and head into SmackDown. SmackDown, there's a couple of things we'll touch on. Not so much, but we'll get to that. But before I do, just a friendly reminder to all of you guys, especially for those of you who are new, I am live on here 3 times a week. I'm live on Tuesdays for NXT 2.0, Wednesdays for AEW Dynamite, which is my most popular show of the week, BTW. If you did not watch yesterday's review, Wednesday's review, please go watch it. It's one of my best and favorite shows that I've done. So please check that one out. That one's for St. Patrick's Day Slam. It was a really good show. Check it out, guys. And then Fridays, I'm here. This is my whatever. Like, I'm just showing up. I'm here to collect a paycheck day. Imagine, okay, hopefully none of my bosses hear that, or they'll be like, Denise, goddamn it, what are you saying? Well, they wouldn't do that, but anyways, you guys get what I'm saying. I'm making a joke. All right, Pile Driver Finisher sends in a super chat saying, the way Malachi took out 3 opponents in the first few seconds and Murphy's finish was cool. Exactly. I forgot one of the Bear Country guys, but Malachi just like, whoop, took him out of the ring, and because they're so big, it just looked very, very, very good. Doppelganger 399 says Black and Matthew should be fighting each other, not tagging together. Yeah, well, I think we'll get to that. We'll get to that at some point, guys. We'll get to that at some point. And all right, let's go ahead and move on from here, guys. We actually got a super chat from Cadillac Carson who says the Friday show is more of an Orange Cassidy-like show. I'm just here like, yeah. Well, I mean, it's been a busy week, guys. It's been a busy week of a zillion shows. So thank you so much to Cadillac Carson, which is actually kind of fun because the Friday shows, because I feel less pressure on these shows, they tend to be a little bit crazy sometimes, depending on what's going on. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from here, though. We got a backstage segment between Penta Oscuro, excuse me. I changed Penta's gender just now. Jesus. Penta Oscuro and Alex Abrahantes. I loved the presentation of this. The presentation was phenomenal. Just Alex has reminded me, you know who he reminds me of? And I haven't seen this in a very long time, but he reminds me of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. The one that's hunched over with the little thing on top, and he's got the big hunchback. He reminds me exactly of that, especially when he's got the little hood and he's like this and he's being all creepy. I love it. This was just basically Penta thanking the House of Black for making him into this. I thank them too because I freaking love it. I love it. Okay, let's go ahead and Quasimodo. Brandon Rosen always got my back on here. Quasimodo. That's who it is, right? Yeah, that's his name, the creepy guy. I haven't seen that in freaking decades, okay? So, decades. Since I was a kid, I haven't seen Quasimodo. Or, yeah, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Oh my God, I don't even remember. Anyways, whatever. That's what he reminds me of. You guys know what I mean. All right, from here, we got Max Castor versus Keith Lee. This was a perfectly fun little matchup. I literally just wanted to see Max Castor get his ass whooped by Keith Lee, and we got that. This was Keith Lee just basically kicking this off with a bunch of shoulder tackles onto Max Castor, tosses him over his shoulder, making him look like a rag doll. All of that was good. Hits him with the back elbow, hits him with the headbutt. Love that. The double slaps on the chest. And then after this, we end up seeing Keith Lee get the win. It was fine. I like this. I think that it could have been. I feel like it wasn't, like it was good, but it wasn't as impressive as when Keith Lee first did like his first match in AEW. So it was a little tad bit less impressive, but it was still fine. Either way, but after this, we see Hobbs and Starks coming out and they go after Keith Lee. They try to go in and attack him, but we end up seeing Isaiah Swerve Scott come out and have Keith Lee's back. I love that. I think that they need to really not forget that Swerve is on the roster. And given the fact that we got the backstage segment on Dynamite where Starks was talking shit about Swerve and basically saying like, you need to kick this new guy's butt, all of this. So it's now like the AEW guys that were already there versus the new guys that are coming in and Keith Lee and Swerve. So I like the story here. And I like how we're seeing friendships unite literally just because of, hey, we were here first and you guys weren't and you guys are new. Get the hell out. I like that. They should be pissed. Honestly, that's a great story. It's an obvious story to do too. We're mad. New people are coming in. Let's teach them a lesson. All good stuff there. All right, let's go ahead and see if I got anything else here. But this is from Joseph, who says, it was like I was waiting for the aftermath. This match continued the issues between Keith and Taz. Outside of Revolution, he is 4-0 since he shocked us and signed with AEW. And this is from Sean Williams, who says, anything with Acclaimed is great, setting up Swerve and the Acclaimed while continuing Team Taz and Keith Lee. Yeah, agreed. I like that too. I do like that as well. Martin Walker points out AEW originals versus newcomers looks great. Yeah, I agree. Someone says add Jay Lethal to this crew. Yeah, that's somebody that we haven't really seen, guys, on this. I think he's had like a couple, like I remember 2 matches, and one of them being the one that he had with Sami, and then the other one I think was with Starks, if I remember correctly. I'm blanking here for a second, guys. It's 10:18 p.m. on a Friday. Anyways, all right, let's go ahead and continue on because we got a couple of things to talk about in regards to SmackDown. So the AEW Rampage portion of this show is finished. Finito. We're moving on to SmackDown here. So let's see what we got. All right, so the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar situation. At first, this kind of started off a little bit like, this is a little bit dull. But I gotta tell you, it picked up. It picked up, and I actually ended up loving what they did here. So we had Roman Reigns come out, and he's basically saying that, so he's going off, the acknowledge me stuff and all of that, right? And Paul Heyman's hilarious in this. Paul Heyman tells him like, oh, I have a text. Brock Lesnar's plane didn't land. He's not going to be here. And Roman Reigns is like, yeah, all right, cool. Like, he's just afraid. He's afraid of me, and he's not going to be here because he knows that I was going to smash him. And so I'm thinking to myself, man, I really hope Brock Lesnar is there because they promoted him on the show, and the people looked really depressed. And with WWE, you don't always know. Like, you don't always know if what they promoted is actually really going to happen. So I thought, man, that's sucks for the live audience if they don't get Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. That was promoted. But lo and behold, they did give what they promoted. So good job. They basically had Paul Heyman telling Roman Reigns like, oh, I have to tell you, like, oh my God, there's been an update. I need to tell you something. And Roman Reigns is like not wanting to listen to Paul Heyman. And then finally Paul Heyman tells him like, dude, and he's freaking out, guys. Like, he's freaking out. Like, I cannot duplicate Paul Heyman's freak out moment. He was like, what are we gonna do? He was freaking out. What are we gonna do? Brock Lesnar is here. His plane landed. He is going to be here. And Roman Reigns is like, dude, I thought you said he wasn't going to be here. And Paul Heyman's like, well, he's here. And so Bloodline is all scared as hell. And so they bounce and they all leave and they're trying to get out of the arena. And so the Bloodline gets into their little SUV. They get into their car and you know something's going to happen because you see them getting in the car. And then we get this very cheesy like clip, but it ended up being pretty funny. We get a shot of them going into their car. The Bloodline, they're all in there. And then we get a shot of this like forklift thing. It's massive and it's coming the direction. And then all of a sudden you get a shot of Brock Lesnar in his cowboy hat laughing as he's driving into the car. So he literally gets the two, I don't know what the forklift terms are, but he literally gets the two freaking things and goes straight into the car. And so nearly kills them. It looked great. It was funny though, because of the way that they shot it was really hilarious. But the highlight of this was not even them ramming the forklift thing into the car. That was not even the highlight. The highlight was literally Brock Lesnar having the time of his life. Afterwards, he ends up ripping out the door of their car, goes into the ring to cut a promo carrying the door. And he basically just says he's coming for blood. So this was really good. I ended up liking this. What I thought was going to be a generic 1000th Roman Reigns promo that we've seen ended up turning into something that I thought was rather enjoyable. So I was a fan of this. But let's go ahead and see what people are saying in regards to this. Thank you so much to Isaac Looper for reminding me. If you have not gone on my Twitter, I have officially made Brock the Builder. You guys all know Bob the Builder. Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? Bob the Builder. Yes, we can. Well, it is now Brock the Builder. That is right. You can go onto my Twitter. I posted the lyrics with Brock's name, and that is all up there now on Twitter. And people laughed. It was great. The Polished Jen says, are we just going to pretend like Brock Lesnar didn't commit attempted vehicular homicide, then Roman stole a freaking truck? Such a wild segment. I love it. That's what I live for, guys. I live for stuff like this. I live for it. MG says, oh, I missed a good part of the discussion. Bummer. There's only one sports entertainer I want to talk about. You can rewind and listen to the AEW portion. Pal Driver finishes says, Brock the Builder, can we fix it? No, we can break it. That's good. That's a good one, actually. Really, really good one. All right. And sorry to everybody that I have officially put the Brock the Builder song in your head, guys. Sorry about that. All right. We got Los Lotharios versus Shinsuke and Boogs. The only thing to say here is Boogs is really getting over. Like, he is over with the people. He's what they've been trying to do with Omaz and Commander Aziz and all of these other people that are not getting over. Boogs is definitely getting himself over. He's got personality. He looks good. He's impressive in these matches. And there's matches that are literally just showing how strong he is. There was a moment where he literally lifts up Angel Garza and just starts like, picking him up. He does tosses him over his head. This was really just Boogs looking strong as hell. So good for him. He hits the Boogs Cruise and gets the win here. Oh, and then they do the Tundra commercial, which, by the way, now all I want in life is to go camping when Shinsuke, Nakamura, and Boogs, but not surfing because I'm afraid of the water. But I would love to go camping with them. And bike riding looks a lot of fun. Get yourself a Tundra. Well, actually, I'm not sponsored by Tundra, so I don't care if you get a Tundra, but I do like the commercial, so that's enough. Alrighty, let's go ahead and see what we got here. This one's from Mary, who says, it makes the Usos look ridiculous and Roman and Brock a little bit, but not as much as WWE creative sets. I get it because they're scared and they run away. Yeah. I get it. Honestly, I really do. All right, let's go ahead and move on from here. This one is from Tony, who says, Boogs is the reason I enjoy Pat McAfee's dance routine. So I watch on Fox Sports. I watched on Fox Sports like SmackDown because that's the only way that I can watch it in a tolerable manner in the West Coast. And I really hate it though because I can't pause. I can't pause or rewind. Wait, sorry, I could pause, but I can't rewind. I was so pissed because there was a screenshot that I wanted to grab from Pat McAfee today because as he was dancing, he looked like he was doing something weird to Michael Cole's head, and I wanted to take a gif of that and make a Blue Chew joke, but I couldn't get the screenshot, so that was upsetting. But anyways, we're moving on from here. All right, let's go ahead and go from this next match that we had was a match that I really, really enjoyed that had a crappy finish, but the match itself was good. So we had Naomi teaming up with Sasha Banks. They've been doing their thing. I'll get to that. I was going to say something, but let me say something else first. Liv and Ria. So Naomi and Sasha versus Liv and Ria. So I just want to start off by saying that all they've done is literally make Naomi and Sasha a team, right? And now Liv and Ria have been teaming now. Those two tiny little things that they've done by making those four girls into their own, separate teams has added so much. Those two tiny tweaks have added so much to the women's tag team division. Jesus. I'm a fan of what they're doing with Naomi and Sasha. I'm a fan of what they're doing with Liv and Ria. I want to see more of Liv and Ria together. Like, they pretty much already wear like the same clothing, but they could probably match it up a little bit more. But regardless, I don't know why they didn't do it sooner. I'm really liking the pairing of both of these two teams, and I cannot express how much it has done. Those two tiny things to this women's tag team division. It really has added a lot. This was a fun match. There was a moment that we got a really nice cannonball from Rhea to Sasha Banks. That was great. Sasha Banks literally gave this nasty kick to Liv Morgan, which really stood out to me. There was a moment where Naomi, she hit her split-legged moonsault, and I'm thinking like, oh shoot, like she hit it on Rhea, and I'm like, this is it, like this is the finish. So they go for the pin, and it ended up being a near fall because Liv Morgan broke up the count, and at this point of the match, I was so into it. I was ridiculously into it. They did the Tower of Doom spot. After this, I'm thinking like, all right, they're all down. Where are we going to go from here? This is going to be good. Let's see. It's about to, hit its peak. And then we have Natty and Shayna. They come in and they end up causing a DQ by attacking the women, and they ruined a really good match that had an even better potential to be a better match. But they ruined it. They ruined it with the DQ. I was very upset about that. Well, Sonya has officially added them to the women's tag team match, so this was just to add them. Yeah, that was it. But I really like this match. Really, really like this match. Alrighty, let's go ahead and see what people are saying. This is from Pomi Wrestling, who says Sasha, Naomi versus Rhea and Liv was making its case for the match of the week, and then it just kind of died. They were. That was easily going to be one of the top matches in WWE for sure. They really did. Joseph Boza says this was my freaking match of the night. Oh my God, they made it a fatal four-way without admitting Sonya is really pissed at Team Bad. Sasha and Naomi want the women's tag team championship. Yeah, so she's essentially like in cahoots with them. I hated it. I just wanted them to let them have their match. I think they could have incorporated Natty and Shayna into this match some other way without having to ruin this match. Without having to ruin it. Ugh. So Sean Williams says it isn't a WWE show without a DQ. That is true. That is very, very true. All right, let's go ahead and move on from here. We have a little bit of a change to the Sami, Zayn, Johnny Knoxville match that is now going to be an Anything Goes match. Cool. I'm down with that. I hope to see Johnny Knoxville do something crazy, like one of those crazy stunts. Hopefully, we'll see if it happens. But not my favorite segment. Almost my possible favorite segment, or one of the better segments of today for SmackDown, is we had a moment, as you guys all know, we're going to be getting Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory and the whole attack that happened last week. Okay, cool. So during SmackDown, we had a moment where Michael Cole basically tells Pat McAfee that, hey, you've been summoned to Vince McMahon's office. Like, you got to go. Like, go right now. Vince McMahon wants to talk to you. And Pat McAfee is like, Are you on drugs? What the hell is wrong with you, Cole? Oh, sue me. I love that line. Like I will pop over like the dumbest things or like the silliest, cheesiest lines or whatever. Oh, I love that line. It made me laugh so hard when he just asked him, like, are you on drugs? What's wrong with you? It killed me. It absolutely killed me. But anyway, so Pat McAfee goes like a scared little child to the principal's office, and he walks in the door. Obviously, like they just show him like they don't even show him walking in the door. Actually, they show him walking towards the door, but they don't actually see him going in. We then go to commercial. We come back from commercial, and Pat McAfee is walking out the door. So we don't actually ever see an interaction between Vince and Pat, okay? Like Pat just comes, like he probably just walked in and walked out. Let's be real. But anyway, so Pat McAfee walks out of that door and he's looking all serious, like, So everybody's wondering, like, what did Vince McMahon want him to do? So Pat McAfee ends up going out to the ring and he basically starts, talking about what this means to him, what this opportunity to work with WWE means to him, and all of this, and how he's been dreaming of being in WWE. And we still didn't really know what Vince McMahon wanted to talk to him about. But then immediately he's interrupted by Austin Theory. So the whole thing that I guess Vince wanted from him is that he wanted him to apologize to Austin Theory. So he doesn't want to apologize to Austin Theory. Instead, he tells them, quote, Austin Theory, I'm sorry your parents raised a douchebag. I apologize that you're a punk bitch. And then we end up seeing Austin Theory take up a selfie with Pat McAfee. So Pat McAfee is really good at what he's doing. Like, he gets people hyped up. His promos are good. He brings a lot of energy. I love everything that Pat McAfee has brought to this story. Unfortunately, it is falling flat on Austin Theory's end because he just doesn't have like the same level of energy or the same level of personality. So anytime we see like Pat do anything with Austin Theory, it's pretty entertaining. But then other than that, it just kind of falls a little flat. So there isn't really much else to say about that. But I do want to give Pat McAfee credit because he's, I wasn't so sure about him when like he came in, but honestly, I've become like a big fan of his commentary work. I've become a fan of like, everything that he did with Adam Cole and NXT. I was a fan of that. So I have become a fan of Pat McAfee. So just throwing that out there. And yeah, just like James Jones said, he did great. He really did great. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on from here. So after this, we did get a quick match between Kofi Kingston and Ridge Holland. This is essentially just like Kofi was supposed to get a, his vengeance on Ridge Holland for the injury of Big E. We end up seeing Butch and Sheamus getting involved, so this allows Ridge Holland to get the win. Nothing else much to add there. We have one final segment in Charlotte and Rhonda. And this was fun. One of the big criticisms that I had about Charlotte and Rhonda was there wasn't enough heat in the story. Like, there wasn't enough of like, I didn't really feel like hot for this story. And I had a lot of people that kind of felt along the same lines. But last week on SmackDown, they closed out the show with a beat down, like a brawl that took place backstage. And that one tiny brawl legitimately added so much to their feud. And I think they realized that because they kept that going here today. So we had Rhonda coming out to confront Charlotte, who was out in the ring. She hits her with the kendo stick. She tries to get her in the armbar, but she is unable to actually lock it in. So they end up fighting on the outside of the ring. And we see Rhonda try to go for the ankle lock. She gets it for like a quick second, but Charlotte ends up attacking her with a kendo stick and choking her with the kendo stick. After this, Charlotte ends up putting Rhonda through a commentary table. So now Charlotte has put her through a car, and now she has put her through a commentary table. So I think that they really just need to keep the violence going with them. They need to keep the violence going because that's what they need to keep these brawls going, because that is what's making this feud feel a little bit more interesting. Because the whole thing here is like, Charlotte keeps calling her a one-trick pony, and Rhonda's like, I'm not a one-trick pony, and even if I am, like, it doesn't matter because I can defeat you with this. So they are adding a lot more to this to make the story a little bit more hotter, which I appreciate. So I did like this beatdown, and I like the beatdown from last week as well. They had Charlotte looking strong here tonight, and we'll see what happens at WrestleMania and how they continue to move forward this story. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from here. And this is from Joseph, who says, Rhonda can sell. She took that table bump great. All it showed me was that Charlotte is scared of Rhonda picking her instead of Miss Rebecca. I was about to say, who the hell's Miss Rebecca? And then it just clicked in my head. Joseph Boza says, it's weird. Charlotte Flair has stood tall for 2 weeks in a row. This could be the night one of WrestleMania of main event. Let's see what else we got here. This one is from Undefeated Streak, who says this year's WrestleMania is going to be more atrocious than WrestleMania 32 in Texas. WrestleMania 39 should be awesome. I was at WrestleMania 32 in Texas, and the entire time I was terrified because I'm really afraid. So just know this, and this happens all the time, but I'm really afraid of sitting at the top of arenas. I do not like to sit at the top. Like, I don't like it, not because of the view, but because I get vertigo. Like, believe it or not, I didn't realize that was an issue of mine. But if I look up, everything below me starts spinning, and it is not fun. And so when I was in Texas for WrestleMania 32, and I wasn't even at the top, to be honest, I was just in like somewhere in the middle, but the place was just so big. I didn't like the feeling. I get very scared in those situations. For some reason, I can't look up. I look up and everything just spins. And the same thing happened to me at Allegiant Stadium. I was all the way at the top. New Orleans at the freaking, I think it was the Superdome, or I don't know what dome. Oh, that was terrifying. The Barclays Center. Oh, that was horrible. The Barclays Center was horrible. I was at the top, and it was so bad, my anxiety, that when I saw people stand up, I was a nervous wreck. I was just sitting on my chair, holding tight, like if I was on a roller coaster. It is a terrible feeling, by the way, to have freaking whatever you want to call it when you're sitting all the way at the top. I hate it, and it always happens. So just know, every time I'm sitting at the top, I can't look up. I just can't look up. Don't look up. If you guys watch the movie, you might laugh at that. All right, but there you guys go. That is pretty much the Rampage and SmackDown editions for March 18th. I want to thank you guys all so much for tuning in, for coming on to this show. Always having a good time. I will see you guys back here on Tuesday for NXT 2.0. And for those of you guys who want to watch the news video that I just put up, it is up right now. It is the previous video that got uploaded before this one. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys all have a wonderful and beautiful weekend, everybody. Bye.